everybody. Jeff Antoniuk here. Welcome to the Guided Listening. I've got a really cool one. This may be a song that I've listened to more than any tune, in the last 10 or 20 years. I found it really intriguing. It is called Intuitive Science, and that's a great title. We'll talk about why. Dave Douglas is a really, really important trumpet player, a fantastic trumpet player, an amazing composer, arranger, band leader. I don't know enough about Dave. He's got his own record label and just a real industry in jazz in New York over the last good number of decades. And I love his music. And this is off an album called Stargazer, which came out in the late 90s, I want to say. I think it was recorded in 96, maybe. And it's dedicated to Wayne Shorter. The album was, although I don't think there were any Wayne Shorter songs on the album, but that's kind of a deep way to do it. Instead of just playing some Wayne Shorter songs and saying we're dedicating an album, he went some steps further and thought about what Wayne Shorter means maybe to him, and sort of went from there. So it's a real homage, which is kind of cool. Before we go any further, I want to let you know that the Jazzwire Summer Summit is coming up July 19th through 22nd in person here in the Washington, D.C. area. The virtual session is July 14 through 16. We're almost sold out. We have, I think, one spot left for the virtual session. We have people attending from all around the world. And we have one or two spots left for every instrument. One piano, one guitar, I think, two horn spots. You get the idea. It's going to be booked up really soon. We're still a month and a half away. So I hope you grab one of those spots and we can find a way to really work together. I appreciate your attention here every Friday and you going back and looking at the Digging Deeper Jazz series. That is fantastic. But I would really like to help you move ahead faster, and we're going to do that by working together. Okay, so this band, very, very cool. Dave Douglas on trumpet, Chris Speed on saxophone. On this one, he plays some clarinet as well. Josh Roseman, I think it is, on trombone. Yuri Kane on piano, James Genus on the bass, and Joey Barron on the drums. And this song, there's some short moments where the band plays together, and it goes in and out of time a lot to begin with, which is pretty slick. Here's the thing about this tune. Well, the other thing I'll say is we hear a good amount of group improvisation woven into the melody, which I love. Those of you that checked out the Don Grolnick Guided Listening only about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we heard a lot of group improvisation with this same front line, or very close: trombone, trumpet, tenor saxophone. The Don Grolnick one had bass clarinet, Bob Mintzer. This one, no bass clarinet. So what fascinates me about this tune is as they start playing, they're always swinging. The band is always swinging at some tempo. But then the band changes tempo, generally radically. But here's the thing. They don't do it after 4 measures or 8 measures or 16 measures. They don't change back and forth between 2 tempos. It's intuitive, hence the title Intuitive Science, I'm going to guess. Dave, if you're listening, please let me know. And I've listened to this so many times because I'm fascinated by how do they know. You're going to hear these tempo shifts, and they just sound so perfect. Just like when I see a school of fish swimming around and how they change direction, and it's so perfect. And no fish gets lost. They're not banging into each other. They figure it out. Geese flying, flock of birds, right? It's really like that. So there's this, what it is amazing musicians who have incredible listening powers, right? But this isn't something we do very much. So I'm fascinated by how much they worked on this and, practiced it. And the interesting thing is who initiated the change. Oh, now we're going to go slower. Well, how much slower? 5 clicks or 50 clicks or 200 clicks slower? Was it the soloist? Was it the comping? Was it the walking bass? Was it the drums? And so the answer is, I hear, as I said, I've listened to this hundreds of times. I hear it coming from all those places. So it's not, nobody had the job to change tempo. They weren't changing tempo every 16 measures. That I can that I can tell. If you're hearing something in here, please let me know. I think you're wrong, but let's see. I'm open to you being right too. But yeah, I've listened to this so much, and I'm where I've landed on this is these are some bad ass players, and they've really learned how to listen to each other. Enough talking. Let's listen to Intuitive Science. That little line we're going to hear other times. That's part of the melody. Group improvisation, but it's always swinging. Our first tempo shift. Group improvisation. That sounds composed to me. Another tempo shift. Another tempo shift. We're going to hear Dave play that line again, that opening line. And that's the melody. Now we're in solos. And it's always swinging. So it's never free in that sense, always swinging. And it's swinging hard. Woo! That shift. And what's Dave doing? He's quoting a Wayne Shorter song, Lester Left Town. And Dave, to me, initiated that shift with that quote. He slowed the band down. And now they're back faster. That was so magic, that just throwing out the anchor and slowing down here. And again, it's so grooving, right? Like they're not trying to find each other. They find each other immediately. There's our line again. And there's no chord changes that I can tell. So the bass line, the comping, they're all playing open and freely as they're doing these crazy tempo shifts that are so smooth. And there, I heard Joey Barron initiate double time. Dang, 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 dang. He did it on a cymbal, and the band immediately was with him. So that was a rare one where we went single time, double time. I don't think that happens again. How many tempo changes have we had so far? 15? Probably. We're going to hear that line again, taking us into the sax solo. Chris Speed. Woo! Man, just immediately swinging at that new tempo. Awesome. And Chris is playing, I mean, all of them, but Chris is playing such wonderful melodies in his free playing. It's not always ugly, atonal, chromatic, whatever, like very interesting shapes and melodies. And repetition, of course, is one of the tools we can use. So like I was saying, whatever tempo or feel they're in, they're so committed to it. It's like they've been swinging at this tempo for 10 years. It feels so good. Man. Chris likes doing that kind of re-articulating a note and duple thing. It's a great sound. Something I want to work on. Great little melodic line that he's moving around, transposing. Taking ideas, moving them around, transposing them. Woo. And again, I haven't even acknowledged the last 15 tempo shifts. They're so natural. And that little line again. Man, just listen to the bass and the cymbal. Oh my God, that's so swinging. Yuri Kane. It'd be fun for you to go back and see if you can listen to where did that new tempo come from that they all agreed on so quickly. Was it something one of the players played that hinted at that metric modulation? That's what I've listened to so many times. But the important thing they had to have talked about is whatever we do, it's always going to be swinging. It's always going to be walking bass and cymbal, right? They never have once sort of played out of time, per se. That's what makes this so compelling, is how swinging it is at every tempo, right? I mean, to me, that's what makes it work. If everyone's being too cute and clever and not really committing to the groove, this would be a bit of a hot mess, I'd say. And again, committing to this feel. Circle of fourths in Dave's play. So this is the melody out. Of course, the melody has all these metric modulations and shifts built in, but these are sort of timed. They know what's going to happen when, and there's elements of the composition built into those. And there was that opening line, but played slower than ever before in the tune. Oh my goodness. So yeah, if you ever meet any of those guys in a club, on the street, whatever, buy them a coffee, ask them about this, let me know. But I hope you found that fascinating. I love it. And to me, it's great music. It's, it's not just interesting. And that's why I love the title of it, Intuitive Science. To me, there is so much intuiting what happens next, but there's also a lot of science, right? Which, to me, like, that's the groove, that's the time where we are. There's absolute objective fact there, and there's absolute, we have no clue where we're going to be 10 seconds from now, but we trust we're going to be there. And the whole album is fascinating to me. because it's, to me, and of course my taste is all that matters here because it's my channel, it is the perfect combination of Dixieland, like the group playing, or maybe we call it traditional jazz. And there's bebop in there, and there's all this great tonality, the arranging. It is so swinging. It is so anti-swinging at times. This, like almost every song, and none of the other songs are like this. This is, with the modulation. So every song is entirely different. But to me, this album, these players, this performance, this recording has everything from the history of jazz in it. So I love it, and it's so successful. And that's pretty hard to pull off. Music that addresses 100 or more years of music. Definitely more with all the harmonic stuff that's going to go back into classical music, right? A couple centuries of music in a jazz sort of setting. This album, I want to say, is perfect. It's called Stargazer, Dave Douglas. Dave, thank you for this album. So I hope you enjoyed that. For some of us, that may have been a bit of a listening stretch. For some of us, I think for many of us, that's maybe an album you haven't heard. So if I've introduced you to something that blew your socks off, I'm thrilled. Check out that album. The whole album actually is available on YouTube, but of course, find a way to find the music where Dave and the musicians actually make some money. That would be nice. So speaking of musicians making money, yeah, I want you to attend the Jazzwire Summer Summit. We've got a faculty of 9 folks. Let me tell you who's coming, by the way. So it's myself, artistic director. We have Brent Burkhead on saxophone. Brent has done all sorts of really big sort of commercial gigs, playing with the Fugees and, people surrounding them. And he's a fantastic jazz player, great teacher. We have Reginald Sint from the Ellington School here in D.C. We have Kenny Rittenhouse from the Army Blues, recently retired from the Army Band. We have Jonathan Epley on guitar. We have Amy Shook on bass, Sherry Miracle on drums, Jackie Warren on piano. We have Leonardo Lucini, originally from Rio de Janeiro, now from New York City. We have 9 amazing faculty members with all sorts of incredible experience recording, teaching, performing, band leading, writing books, all that kind of stuff. So I hope you're going to find a way to join us for the virtual session or the in-person session. And check out some Dave Douglas. I'll see you next time.